Good morning. Today is Monday. I've had a bit of a think. I have decided that I am no longer going to try to be pizzazzy. I keep on forgetting to say, if I offer any value, please would you subscribe? You don't have to, of course, but it really would help me grow this channel, and that would be wonderful. And you could, I'm not going to say smash the bell, because that's not how I speak, but if you could delicately move your pointer over to the subscribe button, bell, then, and sort of click it, then that would be fabulous too. But again, you don't have to do that. So I don't know why I'm saying all this. Like Mr. Beast, who seems to be the famous creator on YouTube. But then again, he is probably half my age. And you know, I can't say I relate to him in any way, so, you know, his audience won't be my audience. My audience is more ladies of my age, you know, 60 plus, 70, 80 even, that understand about life's ups and downs and possibly have health issues and that sort of thing. In my Can I Get My Channel Monetized, I said this had been a sort of up and down week, and it was. And I had got up to 87 subscribers. And then I looked and it was 86. A bit later on, it was 85. A bit later on, the next day it was 84. And it's so disheartening. You tend to think, am I going to ever get to 100, never mind 1,000? And it also makes you question whether or not you should be doing it. Because I think to myself, well, maybe I'm just not that worth watching. Maybe I am not sparkly enough. And, you know, there we go. However, today I got 2 subscribers, which was fab. It just lifted me. I can't tell you how much it has lifted me. I also got a lovely email from another creator called Senior Sparkle. Her name is Trisha, and she was so kind, and I read the email and I had tears in my eyes as I replied to her. She was so kind. She explained the analytics to me. It does make sort of sense, well, some of it. She also recommended somebody else, and her name is Beautiful Life Sage. So I went over to her channel. I subscribed. She is trying to get monetized. Plus, you know, she's an introvert. She's not as old as me, but she has interesting content. And it is lovely to see women supporting other women, because it costs us nothing. It's a bit like when I'm driving, I like to, on every journey, I like to let at least 3 cars out of wherever they're trying to get out from. Or somebody trying to cross the road. My darling boy always says, oh, that's so lovely of you. And I said, well, you know, it gives me something. It gives me a feeling of doing good. It's a two-way thing. And it's cost me nothing. And that's what I want for this channel. I want people to gain value from something that I've done for anyone that wants to look at it. Be it they might have restless legs and they'll come across my video and then they'll find out how to sort it out. And if you've ever had restless legs, you will know how life-changing that would be if you could just get rid of it. Most of my nights were spent walking because I was plagued with that terrible disease. I think it's called Willis-Eggbon disease. Apart from being restless legs, that's what it's called. And I was plagued by that disease for well over 5 years before I found out what it was. And I knew my dad had it because we used to do the same thing to our legs if I was ever there. And when I had it, there were times when it was so terrible that if I'd have been on my own, I would have handed in my dinner plate. But I don't have it now. And I do sleep at night. I sleep like a log unless my Achilles tendons are waking me up, which for the last 10 months they have, but that's another story. So that's why I want to help people. There are so many things that I have been through myself, and I didn't have someone there advising me. No one. At the most terrible of times, I was mentally on my own, always. And trying to muddle through when you are going through a terrible time is difficult and soul-destroying. And if I had been in a group, be it online or whatever, it would have been comforting to know that I wasn't the only one. So that is my main priority for this channel. I mean, I'd like it to be entertaining, but I don't know how entertaining I am. I don't think I'm entertaining at all, actually. But I do have a good heart. And I do love helping people, even complete strangers. So I've been thinking a lot. I'm not going to chase monetization. It will come if it's going to come, and frankly, you know, I can't worry about it. It stresses me out, and I don't need to be stressed. I tend to worry about things a lot. I suppose I am like a person who sits on a rocking horse expecting to get somewhere. All that rocking is not going to get me anywhere, is it? People will come and subscribe or maybe watch and then they will go. Maybe they will get value. Maybe they will look and think, well, actually, I could do that and I would love that. Because apart from anything else, I have changed since I've had this channel. I have changed in so much that I can now sit and talk to a camera without looking like I'm a rabbit in the headlights and having no blink rate. According to my daughter, you don't blink, Mum. Maybe that's why I suffer from dry eyes. Probably it's the hormones, actually, because once I have those fitted again, then I don't have dry eyes. But there are so many things that happen to you as you get older that you just aren't prepared for. In your 50s, you never think these things are going to happen to you. And by all the keeping fit and all the rest of it, and going to the gym or going walking or running or rowing, it will never happen to you because you're going to stay fit and vital and all the rest of it. But bloody hell, aging creeps up on you. It would be lovely to be in a community that can discuss the aging process, that knows about it, not wonders about it because they haven't gone through it yet. I suppose it's like finding a tribe, and that would be nice. People who've been very kind, and that's lovely. I'm still prepared for those that aren't, because there's bound to be some. Anyway, I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to record something for later on in the week, and it's going to be art related. Good morning, it's Tuesday. It is going to be very hot today. I cannot stand the heat. So I got up, I woke up at just after 4 this morning. I stayed in bed, listened to my book, and then I got up at 4:45 and came downstairs, and I opened the garage door, and I opened the big patio doors. And I suppose, now it's 6 minutes past 7, and I have my first cup of coffee. And I'm taking my vitamins and my pills. And then I'm going to go upstairs and do the ironing. I do my daughter's ironing because it pleases me. It does please me. I think if it were left up to her, she would tumble dry, fold nicely, and then put away. But I do have a thing about ironing. Plus, it makes me feel needed, and that's the bottom line. We all need to feel needed, don't we? We all need to feel wanted, and that's my reason. I need to support her and her little family, and I show love by doing, not by just saying. I do things. I say it as well. I must tell my darling boy several times a day that I love him, and he does me, which is lovely, but I do a lot more, and I enjoy it. I enjoy looking after him. I enjoy taking him up a cup of tea in the morning, and then a little while later another one, and then a little while later, if he's lucky, another one after that. And then I put my foot down and say he has to get up. But generally by that time it's about 11, because he is a night owl and I am not. And he stays up until goodness knows when, watching all sorts of stuff on. He has a Catholic taste in everything. He will go down rabbit holes on YouTube and watch science programs, mathematical programs, on quantum physics. This man is so clever. I think the first part of him I fell in love with was his brain. He is just so clever. It's wonderful. I enjoy looking after him. If I ask him, can I get you anything, once a day, I must ask him a dozen times or more. And I enjoy doing things for my daughter and her little family because I need to feel needed. So I'm going to go upstairs in a moment after I've finished eating my breakfast, which is, these last few tablets. Some of them are quite, look at this. Look at that. That is a horse pill. That is magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate keeps you regular. So you don't take magnesium citrate, just for magnesium. You take magnesium so that you keep regular. We all want to be regular, don't we? What else have I got? I watch a lot of health videos, a lot of doctor videos online because I'm interested. I'm interested in things that help people, so I will watch them. And if I see something that will keep my darling boy and myself healthy, then I get it. Now, every 8 weeks, I fill in our Dosset boxes, and they are jam-packed full of vitamins, minerals, and a couple of medications. I think I take more medications than my husband. But once I've got rid of the Achilles tendinopathy, then I am going to be good to go. I am just going to be super fit because I will get back to my rowing. Before I had this injection, and I'm getting the next one tomorrow, I was doing an hour a day rowing on my machine, on my Concept 2 rowing machine, which I got for £500 from eBay second hand. I think when I suggested it to my darling boy that I wanted one, he thought it was going to be a 5-minute wonder, and I'd get it upstairs and into the spare room, and it would be some sort of clothes horse, you know, where you chuck your stuff over it, like an exercise bike, because that's what they use for, isn't it? I do use it, and I enjoy it, and I do think a lot whilst I'm rowing. I sit there and I'm listening to my book, but whilst I'm listening to my book, I am thinking about things, and I have great inspirations. You know, I sit there and I'm listening to the story, but then I start thinking about this channel and what I can do to improve it for you. Now, it has to be said that, you know, I really do want to help people, but you can't just be a channel that just talks about health issues, because it won't grow, and we'll get bored with me. I'm bored with me, so goodness knows. So there needs to be a little light with the darkness. That's what I think. One of my ladies has suggested I do a shopping haul. Now, I don't buy many clothes because I have tried to stop. Having said that, I did buy a really nice cardie. It's called the Holly cardigan or something like that. It's beautiful quality and quite heavy. It's more like a little jacket. And I got it in green. And you know, I am so wanting something green. I've got one green jumper. Every dress I've tried on in green looked absolutely rubbish on me. This green jacket looks nice. It's got a little bit of navy, which is my colour. It does actually look nice. I mean, my arms are a little bit short for it, so I'll roll it up a little bit at the sleeve. I think they're shrinking as well as my height. You know, I used to be 5'6", and now I'm 5'4.5". So I must have dropped 1.5 inches whilst I've been walking around. Go figure that one out. So I'm going to go upstairs in a minute, and I'm going to start ironing, and then I'll chat to you then. It's a hot day today, and it's what, 9:30 now. We've gone around the house, closing all the windows, and in the back where the sun comes up first, I pulled the blinds and thought I'd get on with my ironing and ponder. What am I going to talk to you about? And last night I asked my daughter if she would mind me talking about the week that she became poorly. And she said, no, I don't mind at all. So I'm going to tell you about that because it was awful. Now, my daughter was an extremely fit young lady. I mean, they have a gym at their house in the garage, which they converted. They're very into walking and doing things. Last summer she made a sponsored walk for prostate cancer, and she walked 28.5 miles on her own, or for some part with a friend. But she made sure that she did it, and she got sponsorship. And initially she wanted to raise, I think it was £100, but in the end she raised £1,000 for men's prostate health. So that's the kind of person that she is. So she comes here every week and stays on a Monday and Tuesday night because she works at her surgery which used to be my surgery, in West London. He usually arrives in the evening, after which time I generally start the washing and then tumble drying so that I can iron it on a Tuesday. Anyway, this day when she arrived, she came in and she said, "I'm not feeling very well. I had a terrible pain in my glute muscle when I was driving up here. It made her feel that poorly and in that much pain that she had to stop the car and get out at the roadside to stretch her leg or legs." What I didn't know was that she had had some very odd symptoms going on for probably more than a month. Twitching in her arms and legs, feeling things in her eyes that weren't there. Anyway, because she starts work at 6 a.m, she went to bed early. The next morning she got up for work. She came home that night and she still did not feel well, which is obviously worrying. The next day she did the same. She went to work. She did her home visits to patients who can't get to her. Then she drove all the way home to Sussex, wondering what was going on with her. She got home, I suppose, about 6:30. And she went straight to bed because she was so exhausted. However, the next morning, she woke up and went to get out of bed and she couldn't move her legs, which obviously is terrifying. Her husband took her, I think they phoned 111 and they said take her to the hospital. So he took her straight to the hospital, A&E, and they saw her and they gave her an MRI scan. They said to her that they thought that she had 2 prolapse discs in her back. Luckily, she had taken out private healthcare a few years back, so she could get a referral to see a spine doctor quite quickly. Once she'd been to see this spine surgeon, he said, "I don't think it's prolapse discs. It could be multiple sclerosis. I think you need to see a neurologist." And anybody being told that would be very worried indeed, especially if you've had patients of your own that suffer with multiple sclerosis and you know how dire that can be as a consequence for them. She got a cancellation to see a neurologist. This is probably a couple of weeks later. I'm not quite sure on the dates, but it was, she waited for a couple of weeks, I think, and she went to see the neurologist and he sent her for a brain scan and nerve testing at St Thomas's Hospital in London. And we went up by train and she had needles stuck into her muscles to see how they worked, if they were conducting messages. And they actually were working okay. That was good. There was no damage to her myelin sheath, which covers the nerves. And if that is damaged, then your nerves are damaged. But it didn't explain why a perfectly healthy woman suddenly is unable to walk properly. I mean, let's put it into perspective. Before, she would go walking for miles and miles, and then suddenly her gait had become like that of somebody with cerebral palsy. It was so shocking to witness and so frightening. It was incredibly difficult for her to walk. She had to buy a stick, and then that didn't help as much as she hoped, and she's now using a crutch to walk properly. So having had these tests on her muscles, she then eventually gets the results, and as I say, they're fine. Those muscles are fine, the nerves are fine. And at that point I said to her, I'm going to give you a B12 injection because I have B12 deficiency. And I bought my own B12, so I don't have to go to the doctors for it. You can't overdose on B12 because you just pee it away. So, it's not a problem if you have more than you need, because you will just literally pee it down the loo. So she said, "No, my levels are fine, Mum. I've got high levels of B12 because you give me all those B12 tablets to take. But unless the B12 is active, then the serum B12 test is useless. It might show you up as having a very high B12 level, but if it's not being absorbed, then it's as good as nothing." And that's according to the Pernicious Anemia Society, who are experts in B12 deficiency. So I said, okay, well, nevertheless, just allow me to give you this, just in case it helps. So she acquiesced eventually. And that week then she went home. And the following week, there was an improvement. Just a little, but certainly an improvement from walking like somebody that has got cerebral palsy. I mean, she couldn't, and she still can't lift her feet up. She's still got foot drop, and she still sort of shuffles, but the improvement in her walking was still markedly different to what she had the week before. Having got her results and found that her tests were fine for her nerve endings, she started doing her own research. I mean, if there ever was a woman that is like her mother for trying to sort herself out, then she is it. So she started doing her own research. And what I didn't appreciate was that my daughter has got incredibly flexible joints. She doesn't get that from me. I'm no gymnast or anything. And I've never been able to, I don't think, put my foot behind my head. But she can. I mean, just straight off. Just lift her leg up, put her foot behind her head. I mean, it's extraordinary. She can also get her thumb to sit right down here. Just thump. She can also put her thumb across there and have her thumb sticking out the other side. And there are several other things that she can do that just seem beyond odd. So that is hypermobility, which isn't really very good because it can give you all sorts of problems. It's also called Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. So, and here's the kicker: the treatment of Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, when it's got as bad as Katie had when she became poorly, when her gait was affected, is B12, which would explain why she got that little bit better after the week that I gave it to her. So right now we're still left with her having to go to see a physiotherapist to try to get the muscles that are trying to hold her joints together to relax and not be out of sync. And apparently the physio was torturous, and she's going next week. She is still walking with a crutch. Her walking is still very limited and she gets very tired. I suspect because she's having to try so hard to walk normally. I think it was probably the worst time of my life, apart from when my baby died. When you see your child suffering and there seems to be nothing that you can do to help, and you're not quite sure what it is, and the future seems not quite what it should have been had this problem not got as bad as it did, it makes you feel useless. You want to take it away and have it yourself so that they don't have to suffer. So that's the state of play. It's Wednesday, it's going to be another hot day, and today I am going to have my second Achilles tendon injected with a high volume injection of saline. And frankly, it's worked so well on the worst one, the right one, that I'm actually looking forward to this injection, because I'm hopeful that it will be the end or the beginning of the end of my problems with those pains in my Achilles tendons. Anyway, that said, something interesting happened this morning. I was scrolling through YouTube Shorts, and I came across this man called Simon Squibb, and he told of a very inspiring story, and he says that he's an angel investor. And I thought, what a lovely thing to do when you have lots of money and you have made it in the world from humble beginnings. And I briefly commented that I thought so. Since when, I have been besieged by everyone commenting on his video, but I didn't sign up for that. I didn't subscribe to his channel, and I didn't think that this would cause me such grief with all his replies. So I had to go on my iPhone, I had to go on to another YouTube video to find out how I could possibly stop it, because I tried looking for my comment to delete it, but I couldn't find it. So I had to go onto YouTube and find a way of deleting my watch history of that video to see if that will work. I mean, who would have thought, eh? And that's never happened to me before with anybody else's video. I don't get besieged by all of their, or should I say spammed really, by all of their content, comments. Just this one person, and I just wonder if it's some kind of scam to get him views. It was a TikTok video reposted on YouTube. That said, I have got a little video for you of my artwork. Yesterday I spent until 10:30 last night editing out all the bloops and all the and the gaps, and I realised that I do that often. I'm not a very fluent speaker these days. I tend to leave long gaps whilst my brain churns over things, and then it comes out of my mouth. And gosh, it does take a lot of time to edit those long gaps out. So I'm trying to think about what I'm saying right now so that I don't have so much to edit in this video. I had to edit it because it was going to be nearly 50 minutes long by the time I finished, and I edited it down to, I think, about 33, which goes to prove I'm not very good at speaking. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to edit this little bit. I'm going to add it to the walk around my artworks, and then I am going to start filming how to make your own little piece of art. That will take a little while because I am going to use texture and that has to dry, but frankly in this kind of weather it won't take that long. I should put it outside while I go and have my injection, and then it should be ready for a bit more filming this afternoon. So anyway, I'm going to stop now and I wish you a lovely day.
You asked to see my art, and this is my encaustic art, and encaustic means to burn in, so I use a blowtorch and I make my own paint out of wax, Damar resin and pigment, and then I apply it to wooden canvases, and then with each layer I burn it in with the torch. Once I've done that, I can add things to it. Like this one, I've added little bits of coral that I picked up from the beach in Barbados. It was dead, so I didn't think I was doing any harm. This one, I've used an old CD and made fishes out of them and then stuck them into the wax. This one has got some more bits of coral, and this one hasn't got any coral, but all those white bits, which are meant to look like sea foam, took me hours and hours and hours to carve back, but I just loved the way it looked. Now this little set of 16 small 6x6 wooden canvases, I wanted to make it look like a beach. Clearly I'm in love with the sea and the colours, but in these little ones I added the innards actually of a cholla plant, a cholla cactus, which grows in New Mexico, and when it dies you're left with these bits of wood inside and they're all holy, and I found that so fascinating that I would look out for these pieces of dead cholla in our friend's garden, and then I'd get Joe, the husband of Andy, to chop them up with his very powerful saw, because actually the wood is incredibly hard. Also, it made it much more easy to transport them back to England. I've seen some people put them in vivariums to allow their spiders or their exotic little creatures to climb over them. Apparently they like them too, but I do love the colours of these. This was a very old painting of mine and I covered it with resin, and it makes it incredibly shiny. I don't think really that, I mean, you can see the reflection in it, but it is terribly shiny. This one I called the Pearls of Wisdom. It's a mixed media piece with coral shells that I picked up from a beach in Littlehampton and pearls from an old necklace. One year I sent this particular picture and another picture off to the Royal Academy for their summer exhibition, where you can pay £50 to submit your paintings. It was then anyway. And obviously they sent me a message saying it had been rejected and I had to go and pick it up. That'll teach me to have delusions of grandeur, won't it? At one point I was making barcodes with colours that went together. However, obviously as my hands got shakier and shakier over the years, that particular form of art had to stop, as I just couldn't get my paint into the lines without messing up. During my very shaky time, I used my fingers to paint. So I would actually put on a pair of surgical gloves, then apply the paint with a rag and my fingers. This painting here is many, many layers, and also a lot of texture, because it's built out by texture, and so it gives it depth and some interest. And these two paintings are made up of bags that you get from your fruit to give it texture, and shells that I've picked up from a beach, and lots of layers. And obviously I really do seem to have a thing with blue and ocean colours, don't I? I mean, it's not that difficult to do. I think anybody could do it. Those little green wiggly things I made from, and I mixed it with some tile adhesive that will go hard, and then I painted it. That doesn't sound difficult, does it?